What's going on, New Canoe Nation, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another episode of the Unlimited podcast. We got Matt Davis in the house, team new member. Had the pleasure of meeting him in person this past weekend, and talking some fishing, talking some new canoe. Glad to be back. Sorry, missed last week. I was on the road traveling to Tennessee, so we're back at it, back in action, and gonna talk all kinds of new canoe. My man James O'Neill is in the chat, says love the intro. Gonna make a new intro every month, so make sure, guys and gals, when you're out on the water, you're hashtagging new canoe. I'm going to pull those photos and compile a whole new intro every month, so that way we're sharing the love for all our new canoe users, and love it. But one thing I wanted to touch on tonight, we got an update on our man River Wolf. You guys probably saw that we were doing that River Wolf benefit with Westbrook Supply Company down there, and update on River Wolf, because I've had a lot of questions come in about this. List update. He got a CT scan and it showed that the permanent scarring had not spread as bad as they initially thought. So the rest of his lungs are battling severe inflammation, but the inflammation can heal. So that's great news. A lot of prayers being answered. His wife Jonah posted up that he is continuing to kick some butt in physical therapy and is now standing up, marching in place. He even talked the other day, which was really cool. So thank you, everybody who is supported River Wolf. Thoughts, prayers, contributions to help his family out and stuff like that. Super cool to see the kayak fishing community come together and help out our brother in need. Super cool. So we'll get our man Matt Davis in the house. Matt is from Southeast Ohio. He's usually rolling around in a Flint. To the show, my brother.
Hey, it's great to be here, man. I just want to say thank you so much for leading off with the update on Sunny, because I saw that update. When I got that update, I was in my car and I just kind of sat there for a minute, and I may have shed a tear or two, because he's a real genuine dude.
Absolutely.
And he deserves, he deserves everything good that can come his way, because he represents everything that is good and right with this world. So.
I agree 100%, man. And it was the same thing for me. I think I was on my lunch break actually at work and scrolling through the old Facebook, and I saw it pop up, and I was like, oh man, this is great news. Reading through the whole update, there's plenty more. You could see it at saveriverwolf.com. I know Jonah, his wife, has been posting those updates on the GoFundMe page, which is, it's good because we can get some feedback on what's actually going on with him and how he's doing, and it's really good to hear that the damage to his lungs wasn't as bad as they initially thought. So definitely some good stuff, man. The Lord works in mysterious ways, my friend, as stated in my favorite movie, The Blues Brothers.
But don't even get me started. I could quote the entire movie start to finish without even thinking about it.
Hey, I could do the same thing. I'm from Chicago, bro, so I know how that goes, man.
This must be the Richard J. Daley Plaza.
I love it. We got Brock Hall in the chat. Float Club Northwest, welcome. Papa Skitter in the house. Robert Weaker, what's up, Mr. Davis? Michael Jennings.
What's up, Mr. Mike?
Planet Fairy, what's up, everybody? Well, man, we always start out the show, how you got into fishing, kayak fishing, and then what ended up landing you in a new canoe, my friend.
Well, I've been a fisherman pretty well since the day I could hold a fishing rod. my dad, my uncles, they all love to take a trip to Canada every year. And when I got old enough, I finally got to go and I got to see exactly what that was all about. But growing up, I always wished I had some sort of boat, because the places I fished, I loved to fish strip mining pits when I was a kid.
Okay.
And to get to those, a lot of times, you're talking high walls, you're talking real steep banks, really difficult to fish. And I will go on record right now and say that if I would have had a kayak when I was a kid, I would have a 10-pound Ohio largemouth to my name. I can promise you that, because some of the places I fished had absolute just slobs swimming around. So,
Sure.
but got into kayaking because my buddy CJ was encouraging me to get a kayak just to go float around the local lakes, just to paddle. And I was like, oh man, I was in a kayak one time and I flipped it right over. I turtled it first thing. He goes, oh man, these things are so stable. Just go check one out. So I went and bought a Future Beach 10-4, and I got an angler edition because, I was like, hey, I could probably go up to the strip mines in McConnellsville, Ohio, which is in southeast Ohio, and I can probably get to a lot of the out of the way places using it.
Sure.
And
Sure.
wouldn't you know it, the first place I went was the strip mines. And I realized I was going to have the time of my life out in a kayak.
Nice.
I was floating the local creek, Raccoon Creek, one evening. And this was, I want to say, early spring of 2017. And I'm just cruising down the creek. And I'd fished this section before. And this creek it's just completely full of spotted bass. On a good day, you can catch 50 or 60 fish without much trouble. I mean, it's pretty wild. But I was floating down through there and I saw this sign on the bank, and it said, welcome back to Raccoon, kind of like a landing that had been bulldozed and graveled. And I thought, well, that's interesting.
Huh.
I heard voices. So I just got out of my kayak and took a walk. And that's how I met Dustin Hoy and Bobby Hoy from Raccoon Creek Outfitters.
Oh, very cool.
And so I got to know them pretty well. And he was saying, he asked me what I was in, and he was a new dealer. And he showed me this prototype picture of a Flint. And he's like, man, he goes, this might be the perfect boat for you, because I know you like to fish creeks. So I saw the prototype pictures and I was like, ooh, yeah, I like that. And
Sure.
I was seeing someone at that time, and I took her son down to the West Virginia Outdoor Show in Charleston, West Virginia. And I'm walking through, and there was a booth there by New River Outfitters, and they had an orange, like that hazard orange Flint.
Yeah.
And I grabbed Isaiah and I was like, Isaiah, come here. You got to see this. You got to see this. And I was showing him all the things I could do with this boat. And this guy comes walking up to me. He goes, man, you know an awful lot about this boat for it never being on the water. And I'm like, well, a friend of mine's a new canoe dealer, and he kind of gave me a heads up about this new model coming out and thought it might be a good fit for me. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I agree. I love it. And he introduced himself as Patrick. Didn't think anything about it. And about 2 years later, I had applied to be on the team because they had started a team there at Raccoon Creek. But I'd applied to be on the new canoe team. And I get a phone call from Dustin. He's like, hey, man, Patrick Randolph from New Canoe is going to be coming in just to stop by the shop. It'd be a good opportunity for you to stop by and just, face to face and get to know him. It's great.
Sure.
Stopped in. Patrick gets out of his truck and he looks at me and he goes, well, I remember you. And I'm like, yeah, I remember you. We met down at the West Virginia Outdoor Show. And he goes, you're Matt, right? You applied to the team, right? I'm like, yeah. He goes, done deal. I'm fast tracking your application.
Nice.
He's like, because I already know your excitement. I already know your enthusiasm. And so I got on the team just because of meeting the right people at the right time in the right situation.
Sure. No, that's super cool, man. It's I mean, that's one thing I learned about you this past weekend, man. You're super energetic, and you just love getting out there trying to figure out what these little, slimy fish are doing and how to catch them and how to get them in the boat. And it's super cool, man. Super cool. So, I mean, is the Flint the only boat you really float, or you got a couple different models?
I have 2 flints, both of them
Oh,
outfitted a little bit different.
okay.
I've got one outfitted for a motor guide, and I've got
Okay.
another one outfitted with the pivot drive.
Nice.
But I just recently, last fall, picked up an unlimited because I felt like I wanted a little bit bigger platform, a little bit more room,
Sure.
and I'm loving it. I mean, I've fished in that unlimited quite a bit. We went to Florida about a month ago, and I spent the entire week in it pretty well. And just having that little bit of room, extra room compared to a flint, it's life changing, really. And I
Nice.
love my flints.
Nice.
Don't get me
Nice.
wrong. Don't get me wrong. I love my flints. I feel like I can get away with murder in those, but I can really just be carefree in my unlimited. So
Well, let's break those down real quick because a lot of guys that we've had on the show here that have had flints or have flints are mostly paddling them in skinny water and small creeks and rivers and stuff. But you're kind of going about it a little bit different than them. Pivot drive plus an XI3, and that's what really intrigues me, just because I'm a motor guy. But what is it about the pivot drive that you like on that flint?
one, I like the maneuverability because your transom steering. I like the ability to retract it pretty quick and pretty easy. So if I'm in
Sure.
a really shallow spot or if I'm in a lot of weeds and need to paddle through it, I can retract that drive. Um, and really, I like the pivot drive because it's smooth and it's quiet. It's not, it's not built for speed. It's built for comfort. Let's
Sure.
be real honest with that.
Sure. Sure.
But
Sure.
I also can't fish any Hobie BOS events using a motor guide. So I keep that one flint, my stinger, I keep it outfitted with the pivot drive so that if I fish any Hobie BOS events, I've got a pedal drive kayak.
Right on. Right on.
And then my other
No.
one is a camo flint, and that's the one I've got outfitted for a motor guide. But it's also
Okay.
my stripped down strip mines boat that I just paddle when I go to the strip mines.
Okay. Okay. So, the pivot drive, for those that aren't familiar, like Matt said, transom driven. And one of the things I love about the pivot drive, man, is like you go all the way left, all the way right. I mean, back of the boat and that drive is almost 90 degrees. Like, so you could almost turn right on a dime. You know what I mean? Like a lot of guys
Absolutely.
talk about the the Hobie 360s and how you could like kind of turn that thing and kind of just go in a big circle, but the nose of your boat stays in one spot. It's kind of the same way with the pivot drive, man, which is super cool. Like you can make that thing, I'm sure, move pretty darn quick. Like I've done it in a Frontier 12, but I'm sure in a Flint, like you can turn on a dime with that thing with the pivot drive, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have fished the Susquehanna last year if I was not in a pedal drive boat. And having the pivot drive was just made it almost effortless. Even going upstream, and we all know how fast the Susquehanna is.
Sure. With the pivot drive on there and just like a normal steady pedal, like what kind of speed are you getting out of that?
If I'm on a lake, I can maintain 3.5 to 4 miles an hour pretty comfortably.
Okay. I dig it.
So yeah, I mean I like it. That's all there is to it.
Very cool. And then with the XI3, I mean, what kind of speeds are you getting out of it?
With the first kit of wiring that I had, I was getting between 4.6 and 4.7. But I
Okay.
recently upgraded my Flint to 6-gauge wire, and I have a feeling that's going to bump up my speed just a little bit. I could expect to get just over 5 miles an hour with it, in my opinion.
That's cooking, my man. That is
Yeah,
cooking.
it is. It
Well,
really is.
it's interesting because this past weekend down in Tennessee, one of our team new members, Brad Hurlboss, had a XI5 on the front of his unlimited, and I was right next to him with a Newport vessel on the back, and I mean, I was cruising past him quite a bit, and I think he said he averages like 4.4, 4.5, something like that on full speed, whereas I'm getting closer to 5 out of
Yeah,
that
I'm
Newport.
getting like 4.5, 4.6 out of my unlimited right now
Okay,
with that
very
XI3.
cool. Nice,
And
nice,
when I upgrade to a Marine Co plug, I'm probably going to pick up a little bit of speed there too.
nice. I dig it. I dig it. Bigger wiring, more electric flowing through the wires gives you a little bit more speed, man.
Yep, a little bit of less resistance.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it. Sorry, I was trying to share up a picture here, but software is not allowing me to do it. So unlimited, you obviously said you upgraded to that. You're using that for a little bit bigger water. Are you going to put the pivot drive on that as well?
I don't have any plans to do that at the moment, but I'm not leaving that. I'm not just going to shut down that conversation. You know what I mean? I'm going to leave it open to where I can still do that if necessary.
Sure. Very cool. James O'Neill's in the chat. He said, how fast out of your unlimited, Matt?
5 and 4.6.
4.5, 4.6
Yeah,
with the XI3. Okay.
with the XI3.
Right on. Right on. He's
And I think
go ahead.
using the right gauge wire makes a big difference because
Yeah.
8 gauge and 10 gauge just aren't heavy enough to carry the current that you need.
Yep. He says he has 8 gauge wire in his unlimited and he's only getting around 4 miles an hour. Brock Hall chiming in. He says he gets 4.5 with an XI3 on his unlimited. But I mean, Brock Hall's like 4 foot nothing and weighs like 50 pounds soaking wet.
Well, you know, I'm not much taller than that, and I'm not much heavier than that. So.
Right. No, Brock's a good friend of mine, so I got to give him a hard time. He's probably
Oh yeah,
laughing his
trust me,
butt
my
off right
friends give me a hard time too.
But well, let's get into the fishing, man, because you're kind of a multi-species guy, and you like to get around. And I mean, obviously, you catch the bass and stuff, but like we were talking before the show started, you like to chase muskie. I know some of the photos you sent me are, you got peacocks in there, you got smallmouth, giant smallmouth, I should add. Yeah. So, like, is there a particular species you totally focus on, or are you just like one day I'm going to go chase muskie, the next day I'm going to go catch a smallmouth?
I really don't focus on any one, just
Okay.
because I just live for that tug. It doesn't matter to me whether it's a big bluegill or whether it's a muskie or whatever. I mean, heck, I'll even catch walleye, but I just don't get up to Lake Erie that often to do it. But
Sure.
if it swims and fights, I want to catch it. So I'll go with Dustin and we'll go up to Sandusky Bay and we'll fish for channel cats. Matter of fact, there's Dustin as we speak.
Yes, sir.
But we go up pretty well every, I don't know, late summer, early fall every year, and we just go and hammer giant channel cats for a day.
That's awesome.
I love fishing creeks. So really, when you're in a creek, you never know what you're going to catch. I mean, you can catch one of 15 different species, but I really love to find places that have, resident muskies, smallmouth. And if you're finding muskies in a creek, you can guarantee there's going to be smallmouth in it. But I love largemouth and spots. I mean, I love them all.
Nice.
So
nice. Brian Slayton in the chat, he says creeks, huh?
Mm-hmm.
He's
I'll tell you
a
what.
big creek guy from Ohio as well.
Yes, he is, and he had a really good showing at Dale Hollow, man. I'm super pumped for him and super proud of him because he really put it together for being his first kayak tournament. He should be really proud.
I agree, man. I was on a podcast right before we started this podcast, and we were kind of doing a recap from this past weekend, and that was one of the things I talked about, man. Is I know Brian reached out to me, and he was like, "This is my first kayak tournament." Asked him questions, make sure he understood the rules right, and wanted to make sure he was good to go, and to be able to hand that man a check and see the wave of emotions that went through him as he stood up there and kind of told everybody how he caught him and his wife and his kids, and super cool, man. Congrats again to him. So
Absolutely.
very good dude. But out of all the species, man, that you chase, what's probably the one that's most memorable to you?
Most memorable. It's got to be that smallmouth that I sent you the picture of.
And I
That was
can't get
last
it to
April.
pull up on the screen.
Yeah. That was late. That was last April. That was in the local river here, the Hocking River. And to catch a 20-inch smallmouth out of a southern Ohio creek or river, yeah, that's pretty phenomenal. And it's all luck. I was just in the right place
Sure.
at the right time, but like matter of fact, I think somebody the other day just happened to like that post, and it came up in my notifications, and I read through it again. And when I say Mother Nature smiled on me that day, I really mean it, because I've got good photographs of that fish, and I sent that to a friend of mine, and he's actually making me a replica right now. So,
Oh, nice. Very cool.
because I refuse at this point in my life, I refuse to keep any trophy size fish, because
Sure.
that's what replicas are for.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. I remember like way back in the day, like replicas weren't really a thing, and everybody was keeping these big trophy fish, and replicas have come such a far way, man. And it's cool to see how far they've come, and just like you said, man, get all those measurements of the fish. That's why sometimes I keep a like just a tape measure, so you can wrap it around the body, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, the length, but and then take multiple pictures, and it's isn't it even a little cheaper than getting an actual one done?
It's about the same
The
price,
same? Yeah.
but the reward is you just put that breeder fish back in the water,
Yeah.
and
Catch
to
it for
me, that's
another
what's
day.
important.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, too, you think about it, like the growth of a smallmouth. I forget. I read it somewhere, like how long it takes a smallmouth to get to a certain length or size. And I know it's estimated, right? But I think it's something
Mm-hmm.
crazy, like 15 years or something to get to 20 inches, or 10 years. I don't
In
know.
this part of the country, it's probably not far off from between 15 and 18 years.
I mean, you're pretty much catching a dinosaur at that point.
Absolutely. But if
Uh,
if I had to take a second choice of most memorable fish, it would have to be, tangling with a few big muskies that I didn't land.
okay.
You know,
Okay.
it happens. Um, I lost one last spring. It was probably in the mid 40s,
Ooh.
and I had it. I literally watched it for the entire time I fought it. I caught it all on camera. It was a big one. It was a big one.
Did you catch the crying afterwards after you lost the fish?
Oddly enough, I didn't cry about it. I literally looked at my camera. I was like, you know what? I can't be disappointed. I accomplished everything I wanted to do. I got a muskie on film.
Nice. Yeah, that's one that gets away, and yeah, I'd probably shed a few tears. I'm just saying. That's me though.
Well, I went back, and I'll be back. I'll be back as soon as that creek clears up again. I'll be back there chasing after it. So
Nice. I like it, man. I like it. We're kind of winding down here, man. So I ask every guest this question, and I'm gonna hit you with it. Frontier 12. It's rigged up tandem. You can go fishing with anyone, dead or alive, for one day. Who's it gonna be?
You know, I've actually, since I've been watching this podcast, I've given this a lot of thought. And without a doubt, it would be Bill Dance.
Nice. All
Because
right.
getting up on Sunday morning and watching Bill Dance outdoors as a kid, that is the reason why I truly love to chase after fish the way I do, is because of him. And, you know, if I get to go to ICAST this year and he's there, that's my goal, is to be able to tell him that first play, you know,
That's cool.
face to face, first person. So
That's very cool, man. I met him once at the Indiana Boat Travel and Sports Show. I think that was 2019. Super cool dude, very genuine, down to earth, and it was a pleasure to get to shake his hand, man, because I was the same way as you, man. Sunday mornings, you know, instead of cartoons, we were all watching fishing shows. Saturday mornings sometimes too, but what's your favorite blooper reel?
my favorite blooper reel, oh my, it's when his trolling motor comes off the front of his boat and it's just going full speed, it goes zip, 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 and he's just trying to get it under control. It's that one, or when the snake falls out of the tree and lands on him. Well, it's one of those two.
I think I like the trolling motor one too, and the other one I like is I think he like goes to sit down in his seat and the post or something breaks and he goes backwards into the water. That was one of my faves because I can picture myself doing that.
Yeah, there's also another one where he sets the hook and the seat breaks and he falls off the back of the boat and he's in the water and he reels the fish up and flips it into the boat before he even gets back in the boat.
That's what true legends are made of, my friend.
Yeah, and then of course any of the others, like if he had Jerry Clower on there fishing with him, or Terry Bradshaw, you know, any of those. Jerry Reed, he always had Jerry Reed on there from time to time.
So. Sure. Yeah, no, super cool, man. I think we've won one other guy, a Bill Dance, I think, on the show, which is cool. I love it, man. I love it.
Like I said, he is the reason why I love to fish the way I do.
No, it's super cool, man. Yeah, I mean, there's so many guys that, you know, when we were all younger that we looked up to coming into it, man. It's cool to look back on that and you know, realize what kind of impact it made on us in our fishing and things like that, man. So
absolutely.
Final thoughts, anything like that, man? Shout out your local dealer, let them know what they got in stock and all that good stuff, brother.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Raccoon Creek Outfitters, located in Albany, Ohio. They've got, you know, of course they carry New Canoe, but they also carry Bonafide, Native, Liquid Logic, Crescent, Lightning. If you need accessories for your kayak, man, they've got it. And we pride ourselves in service after the sale. So if you have a need and you need something installed, or maybe if you want to buy a package and just kind of set up for you, we've got the guys that can do it. Not just me, not just Dustin, but Robert Waker, Reed Carpenter, Michael Jennings, John Sheff, all of us. Nice. We're always willing to pitch in, lend a hand, and that's my local dealer. I got to give a shout out to Patrick Randolph for being such a supportive regional director.
Guy?
And
he's all right.
Yeah, and he's the only guy I know who likes to talk more than I do.
He is definitely a character.
Yes,
man.
He is.
He's definitely a character.
Yes, he is. And just a couple other people that have just kind of made an impact on my fishing here. Cornelius Harris from Guru Outfitters, you know, located right here near Zanesville, Ohio. He's always been so encouraging, and I really appreciate his encouragement. And Robert Weicker, just flat out, because he has pushed me to become a better angler in ways that I can't even describe.
Awesome. Well, we got Brian Slayton in the chat, and he says Matt has a cool YouTube channel too, showing us all his fishing adventures, and that muskie was insane.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I do have a YouTube channel. It's called The Adventure Yacker. So if you have the opportunity, I'd love to have you subscribe. I try to share as much as I can.
Right on, dude. Right on. I love it. What about the socials, man? Where can people follow you and keep up with your adventures?
You can find me on Facebook, just at Matt Davis. I do have a permalink, and it's the same as my Instagram handle, which is SEO Outdoor Pursuits.
Nice.
And I try to cross-link a lot of my stuff. That way it's in more than one place.
Very cool. I love it. I love it, man. Guys and gals, go give Matt a follow. Check out that YouTube. Smash that subscribe button. Is that what we're still saying? Smash that subscribe button. And
Sure.
Keep up with his adventures, man. You're doing some cool stuff, man. It's I've been seeing your stuff for a while now, and it's good stuff. I love it. I love it. And
I just like for people to see how exciting it is when you catch a fish. You know, Weicker even laughs at me. He's like, man, he goes, you get as excited about a 12-inch fish every single time that I get excited about a 20-incher. He goes, I don't even get
Sure.
excited about small fish anymore. And I'm like, fish is a fish.
I love it. I love it. Well, I'm the same way, dude. I don't care if it's 8 inches or 25 inches, it's like the tug is my drug, as I like to say, it's
That's one of my favorite hashtags.
It's what keeps us going on the water, man. Brian Slayton in the chat says hook set that subscribe button. I like that.
I like that. Yeah.
That's a good one. I just stole it. Sorry, Brian. Dustin Hoy in the chat says much love for the Raccoon Creek Outfitters team. It's awesome.
Indeed.
That's awesome.
They're a good group of folks.
Robert Weiker's in the chat. He says, that's a fact. Fishing with Matt is always a throwback to why we do this. I love it. I love it, man. It's what it's all about. Getting on the water, having a good time, catching a few fish, making memories, and just continuing to learn,
That's right. So, I'm learning something new every time out.
That's how you do it. That's how you keep getting better, man. Just keep learning, keep grinding. I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us tonight, taking a little time out of your evening to sit down, chat a little fishing, a little new canoe, and look forward to seeing you again, man. It was a pleasure to meet you in person this past weekend, and it only made sense to get you on the show and, get your name out there and kind of talk a little new canoe action with you, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. And if I don't see you before then, I'll definitely see you next year in April at Dale Holla.
I love it. I look forward to it, brother. Look forward to it. Guys and gals tuning in, thanks as always. If you guys came in late, you can always go back, rewatch on the Facebook, the YouTube, or listen on any major podcast platform. I get it uploaded right after the show ends. Please go show some support for brother Sonny, aka River Wolf. Go to saveriverwolf.com. Thoughts, prayers, donations, anything and everything helps, guys and gals. So we appreciate you as always tuning in. We're here every Tuesday night, 7 Central, 8 Eastern, and 5 o'clock out on the West Coast. And as always, boys and girls, tight lines, smooth paddle. Peace.